everyone. My name is Dan Bahe, and I am a precision business planning specialist at AgSolver. And today we're going to be covering in our intermediate planning webinar for August 10th, adding Delta Force units to our planner. And so what we'll be doing, we'll be working a scenario on one of my family's farms fields where we'll identify possible fields that would benefit from better control of hydraulic down pressure to increase yields, select zones and work scenarios representing standard assumptions, increased yield assumptions, and associated cost, and then we will compare return on invest on zones and scenarios. So before we begin, I want to let everyone know that my contact information is in the chat box. You can contact me via email or cell phone. Email is djba@agsolver.com, or you can email support@agsolver.com. And then finally, give me a phone call or give me a call at 319-238-1978. So we are in Q&A mode, so if you do have a question, please feel free to type your message or question in the chat box below, and I will answer your questions throughout this webinar. Now we'll hop into Profit Zone Manager. So today we'll be working this scenario on the Ritchie farm. This is a 110-acre field, and we're looking at profitability map from 2015, so last year when we were in corn production. And to give you an idea, looking at the Delta Force hydraulic down pressure units for our planter is from the standpoint of we are a no-till cover crops operation, so we are running our planter through high amounts of residue, and we want to get that high quality seed to soil contact. We are also in 20-inch rows, so that plays into a factor. And when you look at our enterprise overall, we have about 1,206 acres. And to give you a little bit of background on this field in particular, this field doesn't have a lot of variability within it. There's honestly maybe 5 soil types within this field, all ranging about the same that make up this particular field. So when it comes to variability across this field, there really isn't much. It's a pretty uniform looking field. So when we were first quoting Delta Force row units per row unit, it was about $1,200 per row. And if you look at our 24 row planner, that cost would have came around $28,000 $800 if you want to factor that on a per acre tillable acres. The cost would be right around a $22.93 increased cost to our planter costs, and that's just simply dividing that 28,800 divided by our tillable acres. So, and the reasoning behind it, right now we are running standard John Deere OEM airbags, and when we talked to our precision planning dealer, they said you can get a increased yield of right around 11 bushels. So it's something we're definitely interested in. But we'll start working through the scenario. So the first thing that we're going to do is copy a scenario and base it off of our 2015 actual production scenario. So we'll call this simply Delta Force Edition. Delta Force. And click Save. Excuse me. And that's loading. So in what we've done, we've created a carbon copy of our actual production 2015 scenario and just renamed it Delta Force. To give you an idea of the crop budget that we have in place for this particular field, we're looking at a commodity price of $3.74 corn, and then see the equipment cost. So last year our equipment cost, or our planter cost, excuse me, was $16 an acre. Our combine cost was $20, sprayer $9, and then grain cart $9 also. So in this field, we have as applied data, so you can see our cost per thousands of seeds per hybrid, fertilizer, herbicide, insecticide, insurance, interest, grain drying, handling, and hauling, land costs, overhead, home, personal, things like that. So now what we're going to do is actually select a zone based off of the whole field zone, because we want to see the economic payback for adding Delta Force to a planter on this entire field. So we'll select the whole field zone, the little box with lines running through it, refresh the web page here. So anytime if the system seems slow, just refresh the web page. So we'll select the whole field zone. Our budget for this entire zone pops up, and what we will do, we'll name this Delta Force. Row units zone. And then first thing we're going to do, we're going to increase our target yield to adjust for that 11 bushel increase. So for this field, we're going to start at increasing yield at 7%. And then we'll come down and adjust our planter cost. So we'll add a additional $23 or $22.93 to our previous cost of 16. So our new planter cost is going to be $38.93. So we increased yield and we increased our equipment cost. Come down, click save. And so on our planner, I want to mention already that we do have the 2020 monitor. So we already have that built in, and we have the wiring structure, and we run the ESET meter. So that's already in place. We're just looking to replace the airbags with the Delta Force units. So here you can see our original performance to our zone performance. And so we're going to have to readjust our overall zone yield to match that 11 bushel increase. So we'll come the zone, which is Delta Force row units zone, click on edit budget, and we're going to adjust that down to say 5% yield increase. So it's just making simple tweaks and changes. So now we're hit our target of increased 11 bushels, and then we also have our added planter expense shown here too. So if we had the Delta Force row units, you can see increased yield by 11 bushels. We also increased profitability by about 15 bushels or so. increase production efficiency, which is a measurement of how efficient are we in turning working capital into a commodity. So increase production efficiency by about 5 bushel per $1,000 spent. Acreage opportunity ratio goes up because we have an overall higher expense for this field, along with adjusted working capital. And you can see our break-even commodity price has changed also. So added the 3,000 additional dollars to our overall field zone expenses. We've also increased revenue on this field by about $4,000. You can see at the end of the day, we had an increased profitability of about $2,000 on this entire field. And this is one of those scenarios where we're looking to pay for that equipment add-on all in 1 year. Another way we could have ran this was taken that overall cost and divided it by 2, and then divide that by our overall tillable acres. So that cost would be cheaper, but you would be amortizing that cost out over 2 years on this particular field. And so what we can do next is go to compare scenarios. So the options drop down menu right beside the field name, we have the compare scenarios button. Pull up that. We're going to compare and have a printable and create a printable page where we're comparing the 2 different zones. So, so on the left hand side here, we have our original actual production of 2015 and comparing that to our Delta Force scenario. So, and what we've done, especially when we're looking at equipment upgrades, we will run this scenario across all of our fields within Profit Zone Manager, so we can see down to the exact field level what's the payback for that equipment upgrade on a per field basis. So because we want to see the cost to see if it's worth justifying. And every field has different variability. So then we can print this or save this report. So we can save to PDF or really send it anywhere. And so it's a nice 1-page handout. So explaining the basic before and after visuals of this scenario. Close out of this. So now I'd like to open up and see if there's any questions anyone might have on this scenario being ran through Profit Zone Manager. So, and as we wait for questions, I do want to mention that this webinar will be posted onto our AgSolver YouTube channel, so you can go back and re-watch this webinar. So if there's no more questions, I want to thank everyone for joining our August 10th Intermediate Planning webinar, adding Delta Force row units to your planner. So, thank you, and see you next week.